Yo, yo, yo. What's good, family? You're tuned into another breaking, jaw-dropping episode of The Real Mix Fake News, where we bring you the drama that's been cooking in the rap game hotter than a fresh mixtape drop. Now, if you've been living under a rock or you've been too busy sipping tea, you need to catch up, because today, we're diving deep into one of the most talked about conspiracies to ever rock the rap world. I'm talking about King Von, the fallen legend whose untimely death shook the whole game. The streets have been buzzing, but after all these months of speculation, rumors, and mystery surrounding what really went down that night, Asian Doll's best friend just came out with some shocking details that will leave your jaw on the floor. I know you've been hearing the whispers, the back and forths, the claims of betrayal, and the who did what, when, and why questions that still don't have clear answers. But today, we've got the inside scoop that's gonna turn everything you thought you knew upside down. Who's lying? Who's telling the truth? And who's just trying to cash in on Von's legacy? But hold up. This ain't no regular he said, she said drama. Asian Doll's friend came through with some explosive revelations that have fans shook, shaking the internet to its core. Is this the truth, or just another twisted story to keep us talking? Stay tuned, because we've got all the details. Trust me, you won't want to miss a second of this one. We're about to expose it all, so don't even think about clicking away. Because what we're about to reveal is about to have the entire rap game looking like a damn reality show. So sit back, grab your popcorn, and let's get into it. The rumors have been circulating for months, but today, we're hearing something no one saw coming. It's like a bombshell that's been dropped right in the middle of the rap game. And trust me, you don't want to be the last person in the room to know what's about to go down. I'm talking about King Von, Chicago drill legend whose death left the streets mourning. His passing wasn't just a loss to the music world. It felt like a personal hit to the culture, and to this day, people are still trying to piece together the real story of what went down that night. Now, I know what you've been hearing. The stories, the speculation, the side-taking. Von's people versus the other side. Was it beef that led to the violence? Was it a setup, or was it just a tragedy that no one saw coming? Fans have been playing detective for months, trying to get to the truth behind his death, and let's just say it's been a mess. Every time you think you've got the whole picture, someone drops another piece of the puzzle that doesn't fit. But today, we're bringing you something no one expected. It's a game-changer. Asian Doll's best friend, who has been close to the whole camp for years, just came forward with some shocking new information. The real story behind King Von's death might be a lot darker and more complicated than anyone thought. I know you're sitting there like, nah, it can't be. What else is there to know? But trust me, what we're about to break down is gonna have you rethinking everything you thought you knew. Asian Doll's close friend and ex-girlfriend has been grieving and sharing her pain publicly ever since his death. Fans have seen her post, her heartbreak, and her attempts to keep Von's legacy alive. She's been vocal about her feelings, her love for Von, and the way his untimely passing devastated her. But what if I told you that she's not the only one with a story to tell? What if I told you that her best friend, the one who was with her through all the heartbreak, just dropped some explosive tea? We're talking about secrets, betrayal, and hidden truths that no one knew were lurking beneath the surface. And if you think this is just some drama-filled gossip, think again. This insider is claiming to know exactly what happened that night. And according to them, the truth is far worse than anyone could have imagined. It's not just a random act of violence. It's not just another case of a rapper caught in the crossfire of street beef. There's a deeper conspiracy at play, and it involves more people than you can count on one hand. We're talking about betrayal within the circle. Tensions that no one knew were boiling beneath the surface. And a night that was supposed to be a celebration turning into something deadly as the friend began to speak out. They revealed shocking details about Von's last moments details that are gonna leave you questioning everything. And no, we're not talking about a random argument or a misunderstanding. This was calculated. This was personal. This was a night that Von would never come back from. But what if there's more to the story than what we've been told? Let's rewind for a second and think back to the day of King Von's tragic passing. It all went down on November 6, 2020, in Atlanta. King Von was with his crew outside the Monaco Hookah Lounge, a place where everyone was supposed to be having a good time. But in the blink of an eye, everything changed. A confrontation between Von's crew and a rival group quickly escalated, leading to gunfire. Von was shot and rushed to the hospital, but it was too late. The streets lost a star, and the whole world was left with more questions than answers. But here's where things get really crazy. The moment Von's name started trending, the conspiracy theories followed. People started saying things like Von was set up, or the whole thing was a setup by people close to him. And the truth? Well, it was always hard to separate fact from fiction. But now, Asian Doll's best friend is saying some chilling things that might actually prove those rumors were closer to the truth than we thought. According to this source, there was a lot of tension in Von's circle that no one knew about. Friends turned foes, trust was broken, and things went left in the worst way possible. It wasn't just a random street beef, it was personal. The people closest to Von, the ones who were supposed to have his back, may have been the ones who betrayed him. And the wildest part, the friend claims that Von suspected something was off in the days leading up to his death. It wasn't just a vibe either. Von was allegedly having serious conversations with people in his circle about feeling like someone was plotting against him. He had a gut feeling that something wasn't right, and he couldn't shake it. Now remember, this isn't some random person coming out of nowhere with these claims. This is someone who's been around the camp for a long time. They know what's been going on behind the scenes. And they're saying Von's death was more than just bad luck. It was the result of simmering tensions that had been building up for months. But who was really behind it? Who was the one that took advantage of Von's vulnerability that night? It gets even darker when you realize just how close Von was to the people around him. We're talking about loyalty, trust, and the kind of bond that you only get from years of being in the trenches together. But when money, fame, and power start to take over, loyalty can get a little shaky. Was there someone in Von's crew who couldn't handle the pressure? Someone who was willing to throw it all away for a shot at more clout or more money? As the days went on after Von's death, the whispers started growing louder. People started coming out with their own versions of events, all claiming to know what really went down. But no one could agree on what happened, and the confusion just kept growing. Meanwhile, Asian Doll's best friend kept quiet, sticking to the shadows while everyone else screamed their version of the story. But now, they're speaking up. And what they're saying is going to change everything we thought we knew about Von's death. This insider's testimony could be the key to unlocking the mystery. What if the truth was staring us in the face this whole time, but we just didn't want to believe it? What if everything we thought was just another rap tragedy was actually the result of something much more sinister? We're about to find out. The friend didn't just come forward quietly either. Their voice was shaking, but their words were clear, and every detail they spilled felt heavier than the last. And this is exactly where things take a turn nobody expected. Because the moment they started talking, it wasn't just about Von anymore. The friend claimed that on the night of his death, Von wasn't even supposed to be at that hookah lounge. The plan was to hit a studio session, lay down a few tracks, and chill. But someone from inside the circle allegedly persuaded him to go out instead. They said a certain person insisted the vibes would be good, that it was a chance to have fun, clear his mind, unwind. According to the friend, Von wasn't excited about going, But he didn't want to disappoint the person pushing for it. So he agreed. That one decision, that one nudge, ended up putting him in the worst place at the worst time. Now, here's where part 2 really starts heating up. The friend claimed that as Vaughn was walking out toward the lounge, he was unusually quiet. Not angry, not hyped, just quiet. Like his mind was running 1,000 miles per hour. They described him as if he was wrestling with something internal, maybe sensing danger, but unable to pinpoint it. And when the shots rang out, the friends said the reactions they saw from certain people were strange. Instead of panic or fear, they saw hesitation, confusion, almost like shock, but not in the normal way. More like someone's plan didn't go the way they expected. They said one person in the crew didn't move at all for several seconds. They just stood there, frozen, staring, while everyone else scrambled. That detail alone had fans online going crazy, because they started matching that description with footage they had seen, trying to identify who it could be. Comments were popping off like fireworks, saying things like, "I knew something was off. It all makes sense now, and there's no way this was just a coincidence." But the friend wasn't done. Not even close. They went on to spill that after Vaughn was rushed to the hospital, chaos broke out behind closed doors. Arguments erupted. People were pointing fingers at each other. Accusations flew. The friend described it like a reality TV episode where everybody finally says what they've been holding in. They said one person started yelling that they tried to warn Vaughn earlier that week about someone in the group causing tension. Another person supposedly broke down crying, saying they wished they had stayed closer to Vaughn that night. And then, the friend dropped the biggest bomb so far. They claimed that Asian Doll received a phone call from someone in Vaughn's circle only minutes after the news broke. But the call wasn't what you would expect. Instead of explaining what happened or offering comfort, this person allegedly told her something cryptic, something that still haunts her. According to the friend, the caller said, "You know how this game is?" 4 words. Simple, but chilling. And you can imagine how fans reacted when they heard this part. Shock, anger, heartbreak. They said this explains why Asian Doll broke down so emotionally in the days after. Why she kept saying they know what they did. Why she kept insisting that the story wasn't adding up. The friend said that Asian Doll confided in them, saying she didn't believe the official version of events for a second. She felt like Vaughn had been left out to dry by people who claimed they loved him. She kept repeating that Vaughn never moved without his people. Yet somehow, at the moment he needed protection the most, everything fell apart. Nothing about the way that night unfolded sat right with her. Fans began reposting the friend's testimony everywhere. Social media exploded. People were digging up old interviews, old tweets, old posts. They were connecting dots that had been ignored before. Suddenly, Vaughn's death wasn't just a tragedy. It was a mystery filled with tension, betrayal, and unanswered questions. But the friend wasn't just talking about Vaughn's final moments. They also revealed that Vaughn had gotten into heated arguments with certain people days before his passing. They said Vaughn confronted someone in his camp about loyalty and money. They said his exact words were, "I don't like fake energy around me." They also said Vaughn felt like someone was trying to play both sides. Smiling in his face while associating with people, he didn't rock with the friend, paused before adding something that sent chills down everybody listening. They said Vaughn told them, "If something happens to me, just know I felt it coming." That line alone had fans tearing up, replaying it over and over in their minds. And guess what? That's exactly where the friend says things start getting even crazier. Because according to them, the tension around Vaughn wasn't just about loyalty. It was about jealousy. Jealousy of his success. Jealousy of how fast he blew up. Jealousy of how real the love for him was. Some people around him couldn't handle the spotlight shifting toward him. They were used to being the center of attention, and suddenly, Vaughn became the face of the movement. That kind of power shift can turn friends into enemies overnight. But we're just getting started. But the friend wasn't finished. In fact, they said the jealousy angle was only scratching the surface. According to them, the tension around Vaughn had been brewing for months in ways that nobody on the outside ever noticed. The friend described it like a slow leak in a tire. You don't notice anything at first, but by the time you do, the damage is already done. They said Vaughn was climbing too fast, getting too much attention, and some people around him didn't know how to handle it. Instead of celebrating his success, they started comparing themselves to him, questioning their roles. Wondering why Vaughn was getting all the shine, the friend said Vaughn would sometimes talk about feeling drained, like he was carrying the weight of everyone else's expectations. They claimed he told them, "Every time I level up, somebody around me start acting weird." That one sentence had fans losing it online. They were saying things like, "That's how it always goes." Success exposes people, and Vaughn knew what was up before any of us did. But the friend didn't just talk about Vaughn's feelings. They went deeper into the events leading up to that night. They said something happened about 3 days before Vaughn died that shook him up. According to the friend, Vaughn got into a heated argument with someone he trusted. Voices were raised, doors were slammed, and the tension was so intense that people nearby tried to step in. But Vaughn told everyone to back up. He didn't want the situation turning into something bigger. The friend said Vaughn's exact words were, "I'm not finna argue with nobody I put on." Fans online immediately started debating who that line might have been directed at, but the friend didn't mention names. They only said the argument was about loyalty, money, and who was really riding with who. After that argument, Vaughn apparently became distant, more observant, paying attention to who checked on him, okay, and who didn't. The friend said Vaughn started noticing little things, side conversations that went quiet when he walked into the room. Weird looks during meetings, people switching up their tone. It wasn't paranoia. It was awareness. The friend said Vaughn wasn't scared of anyone, but he was disappointed. They claimed he told them, "I ain't worried about nobody hurting me. I'm worried about someone close to me letting me down." Fans began connecting those dots with old videos, old interviews, old body language. People online were posting clips saying, "Look at how so-and-so looked at Vaughn here." Or you can tell something was going on behind the scenes. The internet turned into a full investigation zone overnight. Then the friend dropped another bomb. They said Vaughn had a conversation with Asian Doll just days before everything happened. According to the friend, Vaughn told her he was thinking about cutting certain people off. Not in a disrespectful way, he just wanted to protect his peace. He felt like success was turning into a curse in some ways, attracting the wrong energy and the wrong people. The friend said Asian Doll agreed with him, telling him she had felt the same thing for a while. She supposedly said, "You got too many people around you who don't love you the way you love them." And according to the friend, that line stuck with Vaughn. He kept replaying it in his head. But here's where it gets even crazier. The friend claimed that on the actual night of the incident, Vaughn wasn't just quiet, he was conflicted. According to them, Vaughn wasn't planning to confront anyone or start any drama. He was planning on keeping to himself, cooling out, maybe performing later. But something happened right before he stepped outside. Someone handed him a message. The friend didn't say who or what exactly it was, but they claimed the message seemed to change Vaughn's mood instantly. They said 1 second he was chilling, and the next second he stood up fast, like something inside him snapped. And then the friend said something that left everyone speechless. They claimed Vaughn made a comment earlier that evening, long before anything happened. According to them, he said, "If something happened to me tonight, just know I'm trusting God. Not these N***** ass around me." When the friend said that, social media went silent literally. Comment sections froze for a second because the weight of that line hit everyone at once. It felt prophetic. It felt eerie. It felt like Vaughn sensed something building around him. Fans were quoting that line everywhere, saying it gave them chills, saying it made them emotional, saying they couldn't believe how real it sounded. The friend then revealed that after Vaughn passed, a few people in the camp went ghost immediately. Phones off, disappeared. Didn't show up for days. Didn't answer calls. Didn't check in with Vaughn's family. Didn't say a word publicly. And when they finally resurfaced, their stories didn't match. Their timelines were off. Their explanations felt shaky. Fans had a field day with that information, calling it suspicious, weird, and too convenient. But the friend wasn't done. They said the strangest part came when Vaughn's family members started asking questions. They wanted clarity. They wanted answers. They wanted to understand what happened, who was where, who saw what, who reacted how. And according to the friend, the answers they got were inconsistent. Some people said they were beside Vaughn moments earlier. Others said they weren't even near the entrance. Others said they didn't see anything until it was over. The stories kept changing, and each version just made things more confusing. The friend described the whole situation like a puzzle with missing pieces. A puzzle nobody actually wanted to complete. They said Vaughn's mom cried while asking for the truth. They said Asian Doll kept saying she felt like something was off. And they said fans were right to feel like things didn't add up. But the friend said there